So we're going to go ahead and start today's recap with a clip that, in my opinion, is pretty nuts. Ooh, alright, let's just forget that ever happened. I'm so sorry to that man. Alright, let's start the recap. What's going on, everyone? It's Fuzzy. Welcome back to yet another MLB recap spring training edition. We have a lot to talk about today, including an almost 120-mile-an-hour home run from a player that you've never heard of. We have an injury update on Forrest Whitley as well as Carlos Carrasco. Giancarlo Stanton hit a home run that has not landed yet. And then finally, Bobby Dolbeck is looking like the second coming of Mike Trout. So if this is your first time on the channel, do not be afraid to hit the subscribe button. You guys have been killing it lately. We are on the road to 300,000 subs before opening day. And also turn on your bells because we're coming out with a second video later today. We're going to be reacting to the best rotations in all of baseball. And the number one pick, ooh, it made me a little bit heated. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and show a clip from the Padres game. This is from their 10th ranked prospect, 117 miles an hour off the bat. It sounded like a cannon.
And Mears has just put a two-run home run in the book for himself, 7-5.
So again, this was the 10th ranked prospect for the Padres, Mr. Mears, and I'm going to slow the swing down just a little bit. Do you see a resemblance in that swing? I'm not going to lie, I see a little bit of Aaron Judge. What was Aaron Judge most known for coming up in the minors? Striking out a lot, but hitting baseballs incredibly hard. Now, I'm not saying that Mears is the second coming of Judge, but it just goes to show you that the Padres, whether it's developing talent or trading for talent or signing talent, they're going to be good for a long time. Now, real quick, I do want to talk about injury updates. Forrest Whitley, unfortunately, it's been confirmed by a second opinion that he does, in fact, need Tommy John. I feel so bad for the kid. He's only 23 years old, so he still has time to come back. So don't be this guy over on Twitter. This just angered me. He's hiding behind a keyboard and saying that Forrest Whitley is a bust. You can't say that because he's never pitched in the major leagues. Maybe if he makes it and then all of a sudden he has a 6 ERA, you can call him a bust. But until he's out of the league and he's been proven that he can't do it in the big leagues, you can't call him a bust. Is he disappointing? Absolutely. But to call him that, I mean, that just angers me. He's pretty young and he has plenty of time to come back. And also, Carlos Carrasco is dealing with a sore elbow, which is kind of scary to say out loud. The severity is kind of unknown. Now, they are saying that they're trying to be as trepidatious as possible. He's most likely not going to be ready for opening day, so I wanted to let you all know. Now, also on the injury front, Joey Votto is going to be out for the foreseeable future as he just tested positive for the you-know-what. So nothing that he's too concerned about because he's always been very healthy. Then again, we saw Eduardo Rodriguez of the Red Sox develop myocarditis, even though he takes care of his health and he's an athlete. So I'm hoping that everything goes well for Joey Votto, and he's in my thoughts. Myself and the entire baseball community has been extremely critical of the Angels over the last few years because their rotation is always garbage. They never seem to invest in it. Now, yesterday, Alex Cobb, who I've been very critical of as well, because over the last 2 years, he might be the worst starting pitcher in all of baseball, in the same conversation as Felix Hernandez and Matt Harvey, which is funny to say because Harvey and Hernandez are on the Orioles. That's a different story for a different day, but Alex Cobb looked pretty good yesterday. Could you imagine if he reverts back to Tampa Bay Rays Alex Cobb? Because back in his heyday, back in his prime, he was actually, I would say, a top 40, top 50 pitcher in Major League Baseball. That's saying something. And if they can get that guy back, good for the Angels. So before we talk about the Yankees, I'm going to go ahead and show a clip right now as I'm talking. The New York Mets are not only practicing PFPs, they are practicing what they would do if they won a World Series. I'm all for having fun, but if this doesn't scream jinx, I don't know what does. So let me know in the comment section down below if you're a baseball fan, or especially if you're a Mets fan, what do you make of them celebrating as if they just won the World Series, even though it's not even April. I'm all for having fun, but knock on some wood or something.
Off third, Gardner off first, and Stanton absolutely destroys that. High, deep, gone, and into the Tampa night for Giancarlo Stanton.
So there you just saw Giancarlo Stanton and Gleyber Torres go back-to-back, and still, I don't think that baseball that Giancarlo hit has landed yet. I believe they said it was 115 off the bat, which is crazy because the Padres prospect hit it 2 miles an hour faster. I mean, how? When I look at that Yankees lineup, I mean, they legit have 4 or 5 different dudes that can hit 40 home runs next season. Now, they also have 4 or 5 guys that can strike out 200 times. Honestly, when you're taking into account that home runs on a consistent basis are going to lead to more runs, that's the only thing that I'm worried about is, are they going to get more home runs in the clutch, or are they going to strike out when it's the worst timing ever, when they need a base hit and then they just whiff? That's what I'm really worried about in regards to the Yankees. We've talked about a few home runs that have traveled a very long way, and Jorge Soler is no stranger to hitting baseballs very far, and honestly, this ball was hit just as far as Giancarlo Stanton, but because it wasn't hit as hard, not a lot of people talked about it. The Royals are surprisingly good. They are leading spring training in wins, home runs, hits, OPS, slugging. Now, apparently, this is what the Royals do every single year, so I was ignorant to when I posted it on Twitter that, hey, maybe the Royals are ahead of schedule, but again, maybe you guys are right that I get a little bit hyperbolic and I overhype teams and players in spring training because, again, it is spring training. So I guess let me know, if you're a Royals fan, are you more optimistic, or are you kind of sitting back and thinking, we'll wait until the regular season to decide if we're better or not? Now, in the same conversation as teams that are kind of overperforming their expected ceiling, the Cleveland Indians, they're top 3 or 5 in every single offensive category. Gabriel Arias and Andres Gimenez and Ahmed Rosario and all of their other shortstops are raking, so pretty much their stats are being bumped up by their shortstops, as well as Bobby Bradley, and also Yu Chang, who is up to 3 home runs. So it kind of begs the question, are the Indians and Royals going to be much better, or are we kind of victims of the spring training hype and just overreacting because it's baseball? You would think that it would translate into the regular season, but that's just not how it goes. It's not realistic. Now, one player from Cleveland I did want to talk about, Ahmed Rosario. He's been a shortstop for the Mets for the last few years. He is now getting reps in the outfield, which is good because he has 2 of the fastest triples in Mets StatCast history dating back to 2015. So the guy's sprint speed is elite. So putting him in center field and allowing Andres Gimenez to play shortstop, that's perfect. I love that. Corey Seager refuses to get cold, and this makes me so upset because a year ago, the Cleveland Indians were in talks to acquire Corey Seager for Francisco Lindor, and we didn't do that. And then he goes and wins the World Series MVP, and he's not stopping in spring training, and the Dodgers are going to be so good for so long. I want to talk about a few Grand Slams. We have one from Bobby Dalbec and Brian Goodwin. Let's talk about Dalbec at first because we're showing the Grand Slam. Awesome. He's been raking. He's most likely going to be the starting first baseman for the Red Sox on opening day, but there was a comparison between Mike Trout and Bobby Dalbec. I put out a tweet saying that Bobby Dalbec kind of looks like JD Martinez trying to impersonate Mike Trout. And then my boy Foolish Baseball Bailey, he said what I wanted to type out, but it was kind of my plan B, that Bobby Dalbec has the swing of JT Realmuto, and he hit that right on the head. JT and Bobby Dalbec had the exact same swing. Brian Goodwin is on the Pirates. I had no idea, but yesterday he gave us a highlight. Thankfully, we can talk about the Pirates in a positive note instead of the intro when, he got hit in the nuts. So to end today's video, let's go ahead and talk about Luis Patino for the Rays. We have Matt Manning for the Detroit Tigers and a few other top prospects. Patino, he went 1 inning yesterday and looked really solid. Matt Manning was on top of his game for the Tigers. Well, I guess he at least had a decent performance, and same goes for Mackenzie Gore and then Tristan McKenzie. All 4 of those guys are top prospects. I believe they're all in the top 50, and I'm hoping that they all really pan out, because if they do, the state of baseball between Juan Soto, Ronald Acuna Jr., Fernando Tatis, and if these young guys can be the next wave of pitchers, thank you. Baseball is going to be so fun for the next decade. All right, everyone. Well, that does it for today's recap. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy, slap a like on this one as well as subscribe. We do this every single day. And do not forget to set your bells because the second video is coming very shortly. Stay safe out there, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.